Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver. My mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today we're gonna do a deep dive into these two ceremonial grade matchas. So once I have brought the Gokou Matcha from Mr. Osada, so the matcha koyai, and here we have the organic premium matcha from the Chiran farmer. So here we are really diving into these two different kinds, and as a first kind of step, what I will show you is just the powder, and then we dive a little bit more into the taste. So as some of you might know, ceremonial grade matcha, also called shaded matcha or premium matcha, is actually the tea which is mainly used in tea ceremonies, or when you go to a tea ceremony in Japan. That's the tea you do or should receive, unless you are in a super tourist spot somewhere in Tokyo. But in general, when you go to a tea ceremony, this is actually what you get, and this matcha is actually the highest priced because it is also the sweetest matcha. So on the one hand, we have, as I mentioned before, the matcha koyai. This is a 100% pure Gokou matcha. Gokou is actually an unregistered cultivar, so a green tea varietal, and you don't find too much information about it, but it is very well known for its strong and sweet, savory umami flavor. So that's on the one hand. And then on the other hand, we have a blend. Here it is a blend of the Asatsuyu early budding cultivar, so it's earlier than the standard Yabukita, so it blooms earlier. Often it is also used for Shincha. And then we have the Okumidori inside, so it's a blend of Asatsuyu and Okumidori, and Okumidori is a late blooming cultivar, so actually the perfection, I guess, is in the middle of these two. So that's why this one here is a blend, and here we have a single cultivar matcha. When we have a look at the powder, maybe this is the most appealing in the beginning before you prepare your matcha. So both of them are fresh. The one from Chiran I opened around a week ago, and this one I now freshly opened. You can see the powder a little bit going out, so quite a beautiful view. Then let's have a look just at the matcha itself. So on the one hand we have the Gokou. Wow, very, very small difference. I don't know if you can capture it on the camera here. So that's the Okumidori Asatsuyu, and that's the Gokou. What we can see is, and this is typical, I think, coming from the Asatsuyu. When we look at, I'll just get it closer. When we look at the Asatsuyu Okumidori, it's a slight light yellow hue. Here we have a stronger green, a stronger intense green color. So this is color-wise the main difference I'm getting from these two different matchas. But as I said, they're super close together. Both of them, let me adjust the camera a little bit. Voila. Both of them are harvested around after 2 weeks of shading. The Gokou even goes up to 3 weeks, so here we have 21 days. Meanwhile, the premium matcha from Chiran is shaded 16 days. I wonder what the influence is on taste side, so I'm really curious to dive into this and have a look how actually the taste difference manifests itself. I'm expecting the Gokou, there might be a small hint of astringency with the strong umami flavor with it. From the Asatsuyu. It has been a very long time I tasted it, so I'm super curious. Asatsuyu Okumidori. Okumidori, very known for its mellow, sweet, round taste. A little bit less grassy than, for example, a Yabukita, but very smooth and mellow. Asatsuyu is actually called also the natural Gyokuro, so there we could expect a little bit of a sweeter umami push with the taste of this tea. So then, with no further ado, we go into the preparation of this tea. So let's go first. So I take 2 scoops for 2 grams. Et voila. That's what I will take. I sift it. Always important to sift the tea. And voila, that's already done. Then we have soaked the whisk, always important. You can do it just for a minute, that's enough, or even a half a minute will do it, but just try to soak it a little bit. And then we are adding around 100 milliliter of water, and we're gonna take the whisk and we're gonna start whisking. Good. So here you can see, I just do the zigzag motion. And then it's already done. We can see the beautiful, beautiful foam that is creating. So quite decent, quite nice. Now we're gonna show you this in the glass. Good. Then we're gonna wash this out a little bit to really get, again, a clean Chiran. Put this aside. Take the second glass and let's repeat. Now with the Gokou, what is quite interesting with the Gokou, you can see it, it's a little bit more, it carries a little bit more humidity. Even I opened this jar here and you can see the small balls, the small crumbs, which are more present here than this one here. So it seems a little bit more kind of humidity, maybe even a little bit more of essential oils which are in these, or which could be in this matcha. So we take 1, 2, yeah, I didn't get that much, so I take a small third one. I really have the same amount of matcha. We sift it through again. That's a very fast process, and we're done after a short amount of time. It's always decent and nice to sift. I like it. And then we're gonna add 100 milliliter of water, which are around 3 to 3.5 ounces of water. And we're gonna whisk again, same zigzag motion as you can see. So preparation wise, exactly the same. And we can see also here a very beautiful foam that is forming with this matcha. So quite a nice sign that there are a lot of amino acids present, which in my opinion are really pushing. Voila. Good. Did I use the same amount of water? Let's have a comparison. No, I didn't. So I'm adding here just a little bit more. There we are. And then I have my spoon. Just gonna shake it. So, good. I could have taken also the Chiran, but I did use the spoon here. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna close these matches, otherwise they're gonna lose flavor. And this is something I don't want to happen. So then we have the 2 matchas here. So second one is the Gokou Matcha, and first one here is the Okumidori Matcha. And now let's have a deep dive of these 2 matchas. So first one here, okay, so I'm getting quite a strong green note. I'm a little bit surprised. So I was expecting from the Okumidori to be a little bit rounder, a little bit sweeter, but the Asatsuyu pushes kind of a sweet green note, pretty strong. And I think my interpretation is a little bit that here we get a little bit of this shorter shading period. It's not so intense, but it's very beautiful for especially when you're going into the later stages of the taste profile. So first, it has quite a decent green. I would say it's very much in the area of edamame, so it goes very strong into that direction. And here we are having much more than in a second phase, going this edamame a little bit more into a sweeter, also slight cashewy and quite a nutty. I also get a little bit of hazelnut. So super interesting. And there's quite a fine note of astringency just being there with the tea, but it's very, very slight on a very low level. But quite interesting how this tea kind of moves from this a little bit greener, a little bit more edamame flavor profile, then over to a very nutty. I really get, and this is surprising, and this is a note I didn't get for a longer time with the tea, is a little bit this hazelnut note, which I'm getting more. It's more in the almondy hazelnut than in the cashew nut flavor profile. And the cashew nut, I often get it, especially with umami strong teas. So here we have a little bit less of this typical strong umami flavor. And now I'm very curious when I try the Gokou in which direction this matcha carries me. So let's have a sip of this one here. It's much finer. Yeah, it's much more mellow in the beginning. So there's this typical kind of pushy green, which I'm really surprised actually, because normally with the Okumidori, I come back to this much because it fascinates me. So with the Okumidori, I really get this typical round, sweet, decent, but the Asatsuyu really seems to trigger a little bit more this a little bit this more fresher note, and maybe it's has a little bit to do with the elevation. This tea is a little bit grown a little bit high elevation, between 300 and 500 meters above sea level. This one pretty low at around 100 meters of sea level, but I think this is a small influence. And here I'm just getting a little bit more these greener notes. Typical edamame green note, but it's a very, very beautiful tea because it moves very, very nicely. And this really hazelnutty. I really get a lot of hazelnut out of this. So amazing tea if you like hazelnut. And then with this one here, definitely much more mellow, much smoother. It's a little bit shyer in terms of taste. So if your palate is still a little bit adapting to the premium teas and really find a little bit the taste profiles, this tea might have a little bit more kind of edges. You can touch it easier. This one is very smooth, very mellow, but I can really feel now in the second phase that this umami is building up, and it stays a little bit more in the creamy side. Here I get a nice, beautiful hazelnut kind of flavor profile, while here it's kind of smoother and it pushes a little bit more in the direction of it's creamy, and this typical little bit cashew nut I'm getting often. It's a little bit the sweet corn, you get it often in the leaf teas. Here I get this much less, but it really moves into a little bit more of this kind of nutty, cashew nutty realm. So all in all, both teas, they're quite exceptional, quite interesting when you go into the depth of the tea. Here definitely a little bit of a lighter greener tone in the beginning, moving then into a nice nutty, but a lighter nutty almondy hazelnut kind of taste profile. Here we have a very mellow tea, very smooth, and then in the end it really goes more in this umami and savory, stronger savory flavor profile, with manifesting itself a little bit more with this cashew nut flavor profile. So 2 teas, complete different taste profile. So maybe if you ever have the chance to dive a little bit into different high quality matchas, really take your time and try to discover a little bit the differences. So here I compared an Asatsuyu Okumidori cultivar blend, so a mix of 2 varietals versus the single cultivar Gokou Matcha. And I hope you like this one too. And if ever, please leave a comment, and we are happy to answer all your questions if you ever have one. Thanks a lot. See you and bye bye.